Welcome to Anime Recaps. In this video, we will explain B0y. This anime tells the adventure story of Yuta Sakamoto, an unemployed and isolated young man who is one of the world's top players in the titular video game. After he is nominated to participate in the real-life version of the game, he becomes trapped inside it and meets his love interest Himiko, who was his in-game wife. With the help of their fellow players, Yuta and Himiko must find a way to return home. Will they be able to win the deadly game and return to their home? Let's find out in B0y. B0y series begins by showing Yuta Sakamoto, an unemployed 22-year-old man and an elite Japanese player of B0y, a massively multiplayer online game that sold almost 3 million copies worldwide, with his team ranked 10th in the world. Yuta always spends his time all day at home playing the game, which often triggers a fight between him and his mother, because his mother wants Yuta to find a job. But Yuta harshly stated that he was pursuing a job at the video game company. One day, after Yuta visited a convenience store to revoke a job application that his mother turned in for him, he is met by two men, at which point his memory dissolves. The scene then changes and shows a group of people listening to the explanation of a man named Kemu Shuseisha from a computer screen. Kemu explains that they will play the game B0y in real life on a deserted island. The game rules are very simple. They only have to collect 8 IC chips embedded in other players' hands, which means that players must kill each other to survive and get out from the island safely. Not only that, the chip also functions as a sensor and tracking device that will warn players if other players are close enough to them, so they can try to get the player's chip. As in the B0y game, the participants will also be provided with two types of bombs: Cracker BIM, a simple bomb that explodes on impact, and Timer BIM, a bomb that counts down from 10 seconds until it detonates. Yuta tried to oppose all of it because the game is considered too dangerous in real life, but two men immediately stopped him and immobilized him with a stun gun. Not long after, Yuta awakens in a parachute harness on a tropical island, only equipped with his bag containing a few necessities, a pouch full of countdown bomb-like weapons called BIMs, and a strange bead-like chip embedded in his left hand. At night on the beach, Yuta is pursued by a man named Yoshiaki Imagawa, who attacks him with Cracker BIMs. Failing to negotiate with Yoshiaki, Yuta is forced to evade behind the bushes, realizing that he is forced to play B0y for real. When Yoshiaki corners him near a cliff, Yuta sets a trap by leaving a Timer BIM on the cliff and jumping into the ocean, killing Yoshiaki. The next day, when Yuta stumbles through the jungle near a river, he sees a beautiful girl named Himiko who is refreshing herself at the river. Yuta attempts to inquire Himiko about her case full of food, but she runs away into the bushes after seeing him. It was as if she had a painful past towards men, so Himiko immediately rushed to run away from Yuta. When Yuta tries to locate her, he instead stumbles upon a man named Kiyoshi Tera in the bushes. Kiyoshi explains that he was also approached by two men, after which he woke up on a cargo plane with a small crowd of people, who are all informed by Kemu on screen about their participation in a death game on the tropical island. After they all learned that the objective of completing the game was to collect IC chips from 8 other participants, the plane finally reached the island, and the participants were thrown out with parachutes. Yuta realizes that Tyrannos Japan, the group who created B0y, was most likely responsible for this deadly game. As Yuta and Kiyoshi decide to team up to improve their odds, they notice another plane dropping food supplies onto the island. When Yuta races after a food supply, a woman reaches it first, only for her to be killed by a trap set by a man named Oda Nobutaka, who takes the food supplies and IC chip from the woman and leaves. Yuta and Kiyoshi decides to pursue another parachute and take the food supplies because they would not be able to defend themselves if their strength is low. Upon reaching another parachute, they discover a 14-year-old boy named Kusuke Kira covered in blood, which appears to have killed another man after the food supply. Yuta decides to retreat after failing to negotiate with Kusuke. As Kusuke chases after Yuta and Kiyoshi with the intent to kill them, Yuta decides to fight to protect Kiyoshi. Yuta and Kusuke soon recognize each other as B0y players and engage. After Kusuke taunts and attacks him, Yuta hits his head against a rock, which causes a personality shift where he perceives reality as being the game world. Yuta defeats Kusuke by hiding his movements with advanced sonar canceling. Although he cannot bring himself to kill Kusuke, Yuta binds him to a tree, taking his food supply and BIMs and giving him a snack. When Yuta leaves, Kusuke is thrilled to learn Yuta is actually the top-ranked Japanese player of B0y. After getting food supply from Kusuke, Yuta and Kiyoshi eat the food near a river. The corpse of a man without pants washes downstream, leaving Yuta and Kiyoshi to speculate. Yuta, who suspects that an enemy may be lurking upstream, goes to investigate and discovers Himiko waiting atop a cliff. Himiko draws him out into the open by throwing a blazing gas BIM into the forest. Although Yuta attempts to reason with her, Himiko seems furious and attacks him with a Cracker BIM, prompting Yuta to charge at her. Himiko uses her stun gun to defend herself, but Yuta causes her to stun herself and land on top of him. Yuta is tempted to grope Himiko while she is unconscious, but he assumes that Himiko might have been harassed before by the man she killed, which explains why she looked so furious and scared at the same time. Soon after that, Himiko finally awakens in Yuta's arms and, upon the fear of being violated again, she activates a timer BIM hidden in her pocket. Still, Yuta manages to deactivate it and reassure her that he won't hurt her. Yuta then took Himiko to the campsite, where Kiyoshi offered her food. Himiko explains to Yuta and Kiyoshi that everyone on the island had been picked by someone they knew to disappear. In a flashback, Himiko and her friends are invited by an upperclassman named Yoshioka and his 3 other band members. When Himiko shows up late, she discovers her friends were beaten and raped by Yoshioka and his band members. They attempt to rape Himiko, but she escapes and alerts the authorities. However, her friends, especially a girl named Miho, had to relocate due to trauma. Himiko knows that her friends chose her to disappear after being betrayed. When learning about it, Kiyoshi deduces that a real estate customer might have chosen him due to an argument. Yuta realizes that maybe his own mother had chosen him to disappear for defying her. On the other hand, back on the mainland, it is revealed that Tyrannos Japan, the group who created B0y, is monitoring the events on the island, especially with a special interest in Yuta. Apparently, the company is sending letters to everyone asking them to write down the name of the person they mostly hate and want to get rid of, which means that the participants in the game B0y in real life are outcasts whose existence is no longer wanted by those closest to them. Yuta had no idea that his mother wanted to rid him by sending him to a desert island to play a deadly game. Not long after, the group is attacked by a pack of Komodo dragons and Himiko passes out. After a Komodo dragon bites Kiyoshi's leg, Yuta manages to activate one of his cracker BIMs to scare it off. While Yuta carries Himiko on his back, Kiyoshi carries all the food supplies and BIMs, lamenting that he is being punished by being put on the island for being a monster at his job. Still, a Komodo dragon appears and causes the two to get separated. They are followed by more Komodo dragons to an abandoned communications tower near the sea. Kiyoshi tries to hold off the Komodo dragons using BIMs, but not to much effect. After Himiko later regains consciousness, she still shows trauma after Yuta just touches her on the shoulder. Because Kiyoshi's leg becomes infected, Yuta has Himiko hold Kiyoshi down to disinfect it. As they are suddenly discovered by another participant's sonar, Yuta decides to be a decoy to draw the assailant away from his friends. In the forest, Yuta is attacked by a male participant named Masashi Miyamoto. Yuta tries to reason with Masashi, saying that the entire scenario was set up by Tyrannos Japan to iron out bugs in B0y, as there may be a loophole allowing everyone to survive. However, Masashi actually revels in this, slicing Kiyoshi's fingers off and pushing Yuta off the cliff into the trees before he leaves. Yuta returns unharmed and learns that Himiko has been kidnapped. He finds Himiko's phone and realizes she may be the same Himiko he knew in the game, judging from her cosplay wallpaper. In the past, Yuta and Himiko got married in the B0y world, but Himiko did not want to meet him in the real world just yet. Meanwhile, at another abandoned building, Masashi and his partner, a man named Soichi Natsumi, tie Himiko down on a bed and proceed to torture her a bit. Ryota, leaving Kiyoshi behind, uses his sonar to signal and locate Himiko, prompting Masashi and Soichi to search for him. After confirming that Masashi and Soichi had left, Yuta sneaked into the building and saved Himiko. While untying her, Yuta questions if she was the Himiko he once played with in B0y, but she denies this. When the two men returned, Yuta and Himiko attempted to fight them using the BIMs. Long story short, Yuta managed to kill Masashi and Soichi with the help of Himiko. At the same time, in an unknown location, many Tyrannos Japan executives view Yuta's victory over Masashi and Soichi. After defeating Masashi and Soichi, Yuta and Himiko take refuge in yet another abandoned building at night. Yuta explains that he views the game world more as reality, especially with his relationship with the Himiko he knew in B0y, hence his reason for saving her from Masashi. Himiko silently breaks into tears, not expecting to meet Yuta in the real world and afraid of revealing her true identity as the Himiko in the game world due to her previous traumatic experiences. Himiko wakes up in the middle of the night and screams at the sight of a ghost. Yuta investigates and discovers a seemingly crazed woman living nearby. He then takes Himiko with him to calm her down, who's revealed to be Shiki Murasaki, a survivor from a previous iteration of the B0y death game. Shiki Murasaki was a nurse at an understaffed hospital, working with a male doctor named Masahito Dati, who blamed her for his medical malpractice. As they were both chosen to participate in the death game, Masahito blasts off her left arm after obtaining 6 IC chips and takes her IC chip in betrayal to leave the island with a helicopter. It is revealed that Masahito was sent back to the island to treat Kiyoshi's wounds. Ryota and Himiko return to Kiyoshi, who has his wounds treated by Masahito, who tricks them all into gaining their trust, discreetly intending to betray them and take their IC chips later on. Masahito mentions that more food supplies will arrive at noon the next day, and he suggests that a serum is needed to heal Kiyoshi's wounds. Yuta and Himiko bring Masahito to Shiki's house to retrieve the medicine. As the three split up, Masahito finds some expired medicine and puts them in his case, which he entrusts to Yuta, who has a strange feeling about this. Shortly afterward, Himiko comes running back and shouts at Yuta to drop the case because Masahito discreetly placed a bomb inside the case, which soon detonates. After Yuta is seeming killed, Himiko loses the will to fight, but Shiki saves her and wounds Masahito with a sickle. Himiko and Shiki realize that Masahito planted traps in the surrounding area. Masahito throws one of Yuta's cracker BIM at Himiko, but it fails to detonate. It is revealed that Yuta had survived, and that he managed to get rid of the case before it exploded 5 minutes earlier. Masahito runs from Yuta to lure him into another trap and activates the bomb, not knowing that Yuta has moved the bomb to another location, which explodes and injures Masahito. Yuta and Himiko hesitate to finish Masahito off until Shiki appears and is eager to kill him. But, at the last moment, Shiki alters the blade's path next to him, saying she will never forgive him. While Himiko takes an outdoor shower, Yuta wonders to her why Shiki spared Masahito. Afterward, Yuta and Himiko ascertain that the 3 corpses of the participants have their IC chips removed. As the two head back to their place, Yuta realizes that Kiyoshi would be the only one who knew about the 3 corpses. When Yuta begins climbing the ladder, he hears a homing BIM approaching and realizes that Kiyoshi has turned against them. Kiyoshi, who is having hallucinations of his son and his wife waiting for his return, targets Yuta from the forest with his homing BIM. Yuta dodges the bomb, only to be targeted by another, injuring his leg while he blames himself for Kiyoshi's ordeal. Supported by Himiko, they can avoid more homing BIMs, in which Kiyoshi panics and flees. When Yuta and Himiko go after him, Ryota tries to apologize for his actions. Kiyoshi, feeling sorry for betraying them, decides to end his life with his last bombs when he becomes surrounded by the Komodo dragons as a way to atone for his sins. As Yuta mourns for him, Himiko takes all the IC chips off of Kiyoshi, and they return to their hideout. There, Himiko asks Yuta to kill her so that he can leave the island, but he refuses and says he won't kill her or leave her. Yuta finally recognizes Himiko as the person he knew from B0y. They both have an intimate exchange, but Yuta stops when he senses her fear. He promises to date her for real when they return home. Elsewhere, several employees from Tyrannos, Japan leave for the island when there are mechanical problems on the island. One of the employees, a man named Tsuneki Ida, silently apologizes to Yuta, saying that it was the best he could do, perhaps a sign that he did something to help Yuta. The moral we can learn from this anime is never to forget our identity as human beings and lose our humanity, even though we are in a tough situation. After all, killing other people for any reason is not a commendable act.